I don't even know if it kept the last one, but all right. All right. I'm your host, Tutasha Maheda Yamur. This is the Holy Tabernacle Ministries, and we're going to go through our opening, and then at the end, we'll go through the closed speech, and then we can hop right into the lesson. I'm the man from Planet Risk, or if there's any other questions that I can answer that are not related to Man from Planet Risk, I'll try my best to answer those questions too.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the Wadumatef Bebawa Ukaya Kabulifu Geshamadifu, which means the speech of the Holy Tabernacle, of the Holy Tabernacle. Kaya Kabulifu Geshamadifu Dayenuko Humoba Ranamuk Madejahim Kalamed Eartha Basamed Moon Atamamuk Hebim Amanubi Rakta Anoso Anosomutifu Thebawa Anin Menu Sa Umorimen Diaso Bumumo Tewa Moromo Moon Kevo Tutatluda uh, uh, Haturatiaf Her Hadobun Femin at Tetanus Thebawa Sasha Malush Menu Zudidi Kedi Adun ut Tutanhuba Arthur Semeke Karasomorumo Tutamhula uh, Ashafoboy Amanubi Urachta Semeke Nahumutefeb Thebawa Tiabiabef Hayumutefeb Hasun Delo Kebo Tamamu Hebim Semeke Keamu her Kalofunifun. I'm sorry, her Kalofulunimun, her Tafanum, Menu Kawamut, Nawamobibu, Daya Nujjifu, Kazabolifu, her Hamoluk, Taya Mub, Taya Mubitum, Taya Mubefepitum, Nabubu, Menu Kawamut, Zucha, Nabolifu, Kaun Eshofeb, Nabobuhoti, Kaos Wikofeb, Edbi Kebo, Diasubumbefeb, to Tam Hulafeb, Yawumut Adunefeb, Other Yanim, Edbi Kebo, Diefunetsefeb, Chemer, Dayanuj Femer, Bu Nabobu, Habele, Habule, Satuya, Haud Herofeb, Kaulush Ratumuk, Techamuk, Techamubyev, Kaulush, Dehamnoyev, Other Larumutefeb, Chebufa, Hefe, Talamubwas, Bebawa, Shasumat Tefibu, Mat, I'm sorry, Mat Mutibu, Other Saromokibu, Da Ushemo, Gashumoribu, Sawabu. The Holy Tabernacle Ministries was established in year 4918, month of Sekhmet, 10, 10 day, second week, 1992 AD by Malachi Z. York, the man of the hour who brought us pure Islam by the Prophet Muhammad al-Amin, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He is the grandson of the Al-Mufti, the guy from Sudan, Rabboni Yeshua, and as Christian Reverend Dr. Malachi Z. York. As different beings used our master teacher as a medium to give us the universal doctrine of Nawabu, all religions are studied to find the universal truths through what we call factology. We question so called imams, reverends, rabbonis, and any other so called experts on religion until the true facts are revealed. Many come, few are chosen. Many are stunned at jaws frozen when the seeker of right knowledge and wisdom show the power to question. Okay. And as I like to do, what did I do with that book? We'll skip reading the nine ball sections of the nine. Now, you know what? We really shouldn't. The nine ball is so important. It's just an important book. So here it is right here. Let me make sure you guys can see this. you can. So let me make sure. Okay, I think last week we were just giving an introduction to the nine ball, talking about like alien cultures, alien languages, thinking in the alien type of way that goes against your nature as a Netarian, as a Nawabian, as a Moor, as a non-Caucasian person, right? It's okay for them to have their stuff, but you also need your stuff, as the master teacher would say, for you to cling on to. And there's nothing else to cling on to. You have a culture to cling on to. And so this is what we all need to do. So I'll start reading from seven, and then I'll stop maybe after five of these passages. We Ethiopian scientists do not expect all woolly haired people to be receptive to nine reason and nine knowledge. It will take some time for some to understand, and there are others who will neither understand nor care. But those amongst us who are intelligent by nature will understand, adapt, and adhere. These are the ones we are searching for. For these are the survival and future of the Ethiopian race. No one can make another intelligent. A person must be born intelligent, and the intelligent amongst us are the only ones who can liberate self. I don't know why. No one can liberate a person. A person must liberate self by understanding, accepting, and following liberation knowledge. So the master teachers is saying here that you got to be born intelligent, but I would also add you still got to put the work in, right? You still have to read the books, uh, get into your own culture, get into business, get into being self-sufficient, be into representing yourself and kind, right? Like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad would say. Eight, mental liberation knowledge informs us that before woolly haired people were called Negroes by Caucasians, we were called Ethiopians. And before we were known as Ethiopians by the Greeks, we were called Nubians by the ancient. Now, now Moors or Dawamian Moors, right? The words Ethiopian and Nubian are the same in meaning. They both mean ether, the life-giving, burning energies that the sun produces, called prominences and sunshine. The Caucasian, the white man and woman, never taught black people that sunshine is ether, because if he had, some of us would have been able to reason out our origins many years ago. But one of Caucasian purposes is to keep Ethiopians ignorant so we can be used against ourselves for Caucasian benefit and well-being, right? Um, they control the system. They came over here as colonists when we were already here, right? And then they made these stories like they wiped us all out. All the indigenous tribes have been wiped out. Then how am I still here then? If we've all been wiped out, how am I here? How are y'all here? It doesn't make sense. So what he did was he cast a spell on us, a spell of self-hatred that we're not even good enough to fight this man. We're not good enough to even stand up to this man or woman. We're so inferior, right? Because they control this. They control this, the mechanisms to most information, not all information. Nobody can control the mechanisms to all information. That's how this information got out, right? The Caucasian, the racist ones at least, would not allow this information to get out. They're not going to teach this in school, his schools, right? But the information does get out. Information is like water. It just finds its way. There's no way to stop it. Governments have tried, but they can't, right? So we have to control the mechanisms of knowledge in our own nation, meaning movies, libraries, institutions, universities, preschool, all the way up to 12th grade is what they're calling it. But the way we teach our children would be different from the way they teach their children, which is fine for them until they encroach on what we do, and we're not really fighting for that because we don't even know what we're fighting for these days. We have no idea. So these books, if one chooses to become a Nuwabian, is something that we pretty much almost live by. So number 9, remember, When we say Ethiopian, we're not referring only to woolly-haired people born in the state of Africa known as Ethiopia, but woolly-haired people wherever they are, namely all people in the Ethiopian race or Ethiopian race. The root of the word Ethiopian is the word ether, and it means our origin is the sun, because the sun is nine, and nine ether sun produces the Ethiopian race, right? Uh, Nine ether meaning the highest potent gases, right? Because the some brother, I talked to a brother in Atlanta a couple years back, and he thought Dr. York was crazy. He talked about, oh, we're made of gases, but we are made of matter. Matter comes in different forms, right? Liquid, gas, plasma, and I'm forgetful one. Liquid, gas, plasma. Okay, but y'all know what I mean. There's different forms of matter, and there might be no such thing as matter. Their scientists are finding out, right? It's mostly empty space. It's something called what they're calling dark matter, but it's this energy that they can't detect, but they know it's there because it has an effect on the things that we can see and are observable in the observable universe, right? So they know something's there, but they don't know what it is. And actually, Dr. York does explain what this is after under the pseudonym of Afro Unu, right? He has another author named pen name that used Afro Uno, and he kind of explains it in there. We'll go over that in the future. The Nubans, okay, the original book, the text got cut off there, so we're gonna skip to 11. The blackness that the Caucasian gets by basking in the sun is temporary, for as soon as he or she quits basking, that person starts getting paler. But it's different with the Ethiopian. Our blackness is inherent from the sun, that is, our being the sun's original offspring. He empowered us Ethiopians with the same power that he has, the power to be black and produce black offspring. In other words, our skin is black because, like the sun, we Ethiopians have in our reproductive system and marrow of our bones what is called sun heat genes. These sun heat genes become part of the blood and they emanate outward to the skin, and our sun heat genes burn the skin black. The more sun heat genes one has, the blacker that person will be. Therefore, being black is being superior in color because the suns of the universes are jet black, right? The suns are black and they are superior to all other universal bodies. Hence, black is not only beautiful, but also the best and purest of all colors. Now, let me stop. Very few, I've seen some pretty dark brothers and sisters, but I've never seen anybody who was actually black. So this word here is to tell you the melanin your melanin, which is a gene that's encoded in your DNA. And this is also talked about in the Melanite Children book, that uh, black as in your skin color, or brown or dark brown, mahogany, something like that. Uh, but those are special genes that you have because you're burning energy. That's why we're nine ether beings, right? Because we're burning energy and gases at a higher rate than the Caucasian would, right? And also, I would like to add in there, when you burn energy at a higher rate, you feel better, right? You feel good, you feel better. If you taking care of your health, you're gonna feel better because love is a high powered energy, and depression, hate, sadness, and all that is a lower energy, right? So that's why when the Caucasian man came over here, he called us the soul people because we were always dancing happy. We didn't have to have a whole bunch of gold and silver to be happy like the Caucasian did. That's why a lot of his names do with his work, right? Like John Blacksmith, uh, uh, George Hammerhead, or something like that. These really, they are what they do, right? That's why you see a lot of Caucasians when the stock market goes bad, or when jobs went to China in the early 2000s. A lot of Caucasian men were committing suicide because without their work, they have no way to identify themselves and they feel worthless. Now, for Moors, brothers and sisters, we're not gonna kill ourselves because of work. That's just that's just okay. I can't get a job. Our lady might not like it, but we're not about to go commit suicide. Because I think inherently we know that there's more to life than just working, especially for somebody else, right? Just to pay a mortgage or pay rent. So, well, not just, but you got to put your head somewhere. So, 12. The sun is male, and Mother Earth is female. The sun gives off ether in the form of what is called prominences. The sun has an antenna called granulation, and Ethiopian woolly hair looks like that granulation. So our woolly hair may correctly be called granulation, using an English expression. If one puts a straight strand of hair closer and closer to a fire, that strand of hair will granulate, that is, ball up because of the potency of the heat. The Ethiopian carries his and her sun within, and we appeared on the planet Earth at a time when no other race could survive in the Earth's atmosphere, because just after creation, the atmosphere was too dense and potent for the weakness of human beings called mankind. Mankind is all peoples with straight hair by nature. The Ethiopian became identified with mankind down through evolution. All right, we'll stop there. We'll get into, I think, as we keep reading, we're going to get into like the 3 ether, 6 ether, 9 ether, and kind of like the equinoxes of time, and when certain beings and when certain energies come to a certain section of the universe, it changes the mind, the energy of the living creatures or beings on that planet or in that sector of the universe. But we'll stop there. If there's any questions about that, if not,
I
I'll
have
move
a few
on.
questions.
Oh, okay, yes.
Okay, the first question, okay, like when you mentioned that I think you said you never seen like our people where their skin is like black. But
Hmm.
but but what about the ones, especially the ones I saw like in over there in like Sudan or ancient Sudan or even other countries over there in Africa, where their skin look black like charcoal? Some would have like a blue hue to it, blue or gray.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
so the ones that's charcoal black looking, it's not black, it's what?
Uh, well, I guess that's as close as black as you could get. I mean, because my grandma was actually blue black. We used to call her blue black in Arizona.
Okay.
My grandmama Lillian, she was. I would say she was black. Like if I pulled out a black piece of paper,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she might have been close to it though. I guess some people could be that black.
Yes, if you look up the people like in ancient Sudan, I mean, even though there's other parts of Africa that look like that, but like ancient Sudan, they look like their skin was like charcoal, like coal.
Oh, okay. No, I've never seen that. I've never seen that. So
Mhm.
I'd have to take a look. I know some people in India are very dark, like extremely black, and
Where that type of dark, it's like it's dark, but it's different from
mm,
the actual melanite people. It's like the skin is like charcoal compared to their
mm,
darkness. Yeah, and the only thing is white is they eyes and they teeth.
mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. That's the
Yeah.
only thing you would see in the darkness is if they smile or something.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Which is you'll find that those people are some of the most athletic people on the planet,
Mhm.
right? And I don't know much about their culture, you know what I'm saying? But those are the people that the Caucasians were really scared of because they would say it's voodoo. We would say it was more like a spiritual, it's like a more like a spiritual practice that they didn't understand that they were scared of.
Mhm.
Yeah, because they were scared of that voodoo when they went into Africa. They was really scared of it and tried to call us devils and everything. And when they were the real devil.
Mm-hmm.
But skin color was emphasized by the Caucasian.
Okay.
It was because he had. I'm not gonna say he never seen an African person before he went into Africa, but it was he bases his rankings of his societies and those that he colonizes by who's the lighter skin, who's more pale. And
Mm-hmm.
if you're more pale, you're more smarter. You're, eugenics. They made up their own science called eugenics, where if you're paler, you're smarter, and you're on top. Genetically, you're on top. Even though there's no evidence for it. There's really no evidence for it, and now that modern scientists will put eugenics away and say it's not even real science, it's racism science, right?
Yeah.
So when they came over here and they tried to tell us, oh, you're just a inferior monkey or a nigga or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
that's based on an inferior science, his inferior science. Because
Right.
if you ask him, okay, that's a nice theory, but it's not the truth, it's not a fact. Point us to the facts, where how you came up with this hypothesis and you tested it, and everywhere around the world where you've seen a pale person versus a dark skinned person or more an African, you came out superior.
Right.
Show us this. He ain't gonna be able to show you because he just made it up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Same thing he tried to do with the scripture. Oh, Jesus is this pale skinned person. All of his disciples were Caucasians, right? That's the way
Right.
that they draw the pictures and put it up on church. So you see a nice little this whose skin was white as snow, right? That song they have. But if you look back, what was that in Acts? The
Yeah.
Acts 13:1?
Mm-hmm.
It called it in the court. They called two of his disciples Niger, which means somebody with dark skin, not
Mm-hmm.
not a Caucasian. And if they describe Jesus in the book of Revelations, it says he has a skin of bronze
Yeah.
and hair like lamb's wool, which is curly hair, like an afro.
Mm-hmm.
So that this is what they want to believe, and this is why the master teacher says don't believe, because believe means accepting something as truth without any confirmation,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we don't operate by theories and belief systems. We don't have a belief system. If you can't prove it to us, move to the side. Just
Exactly.
yeah, move to the side. This is not the day and time to be playing games with your soul. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and unfortunately, a lot of our brothers and sisters are following the pale man's lead, which they do have a choice now. You could say, hey, they tried to say they enslaved every single black person or more. No, they did. They didn't enslave every single one of us. Are we that stupid to let every one of us be enslaved all around the planet, all at once? No,
Right.
no, brothers and sisters. That did not happen. But that's the way they want you to believe the story. And that makes you have an inferiority complex. If if
Mm-hmm.
if if you as a child go to school, you start reading the books, especially Black History Month, like that's what they in now. I don't. I'm a Nuwabian more, so I don't do Black History Month, but I did do it as a child, right? And you read the books, oh, the slaves and oh, Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks, and that's all you niggas did.
And
So
Harriet Tubman.
oh yeah, Harriet Tubman, yep, Harriet Tubman, yeah, I forgot about Harriet. I'm sorry, Harriet. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And they will mention Sojourner Truth
Oh, they will now. And back they didn't do it back in the
back
day.
then. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Sojourner
But
Truth.
but still, we got inventors. Like they didn't even talk about George Washington Carver.
With the cotton gin, right? Or was it
Right.
the peanuts?
The peanut color. He came with watercolors and I think some
Mm-hmm.
with peanuts. Yeah, you're right. He had a couple of inventions. A
Mm-hmm.
couple. They don't know that the fiber channel cable that
Mm-hmm.
for computers. A woman came up with that. A black woman came up with that. I forgot her name. The Atari. If you're old enough to remember the Atari game, that was invented by a black man in Silicon Valley.
Mm-hmm.
We've done so much, and for them to just narrow it, but this is what the devil does, right? I
Oh,
talked I talked about he controls the mechanisms of knowledge.
right.
So he ain't gonna let that come in because he doesn't want to inspire you to do the best that you can. Oh, look at what our forefathers did, even recently, within the last 2 generations. We ain't gonna let that come out because we want to keep black people like Democrats and dumb and keep voting for their own destruction.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if we're smart enough to start voting in our own interest, we're gonna take a second look at all these propositions that these politicians bring to us to get our
Mm-hmm.
vote. So this is all part of what Dr. York, the master teacher, calls liberation information.
Mm-hmm.
Is to, and I'm glad you asked questions like that, because I see different things than other people see. You know,
Right.
you know what I mean. So I need more input myself. I'm always trying to learn from the students. Students can learn from me, and there's it's an open environment here. That's why it's always a question and answer session
Mm-hmm.
for any Nawabian teaching. If you're teaching, you got to have the session. But yeah, the pale man, he tries to act like everything's cool now.
Yeah.
Like he don't have to pay for his crimes. And what Dr. York says about that is he said he's a destructive being by nature. He's a killer. He's a destroyer. Look what he's doing now. He want to go to war with his own people now in Greenland. And Dr. York said this would happen. He said that the pale man is so violent, he wants to go over and cause forever wars, right? In every part of the world. Eventually, he ain't gonna have nobody to destroy except himself.
Mm-hmm.
And now all the European nations don't really like the United States because the orange peel. The orange peel in office, he's going crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going nuts. And people are like, oh, this guy is something's wrong with this guy, right? Even his own race of people see it now in Europe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know what's going to happen with that, but the master teacher did foretell this event or these events happening, and so it's very important for us as Moorish peoples to get our land, get our crops, because once it goes down here in the Americas, like the dollar loses its value, it's going to be a mass scramble for physical assets, food, land, gold, silver, all that. And I think the day is near. I'm not a doomsday prophesier, but I think the day
Mm-hmm.
is getting near, um, where we're going to start seeing some people may say biblical events, but life is definitely going to change here in this country because
Yeah.
we're not going to be number one anymore. It's not going to be the dollar reserve currency, so people ain't going to be able to run up those debts with credit cards, student loans, and all that anymore. You're gonna have to pay that stuff off.
How we gonna pay it all?
I don't know. They probably just take your stuff because when you can't pay, what do people do? They just take it. The government's gonna come in and just take it.
Yeah, because truth be told, we not even supposed to be paying for anything. They taking it from out of our trust account. We shouldn't be paying for school or nothing, rent or nothing.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard that before. Way back in the
No,
day, and talking about the Social Security number.
all of that. Yep. They were like, they ain't doing nothing but taking it out of your trust account. Yeah.
Right, right, right.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
learned that from the Moors some years back. They was like, you're not supposed to be paying for no rent. They taking that money out of your trust account. So why is they charging you?
I really don't subscribe to that.
Mhm.
I used to until I said, Nawabians were like, well, show us this account and show us how much money is coming out of it. And I've
Right.
and I've never seen anybody actually show me. They would either get mad at me to ask me the question, or say that say anything,
Yeah.
but not. So I mean, that could be. I can't say whether it's true or not, Sister Shannon, but I wouldn't lead anybody down that way because of my experience. I did I did the treasury thing. I did the apostille of your birth certificate.
Okay.
I did the whole straw man process. I did everything.
Okay.
And then I asked the dude, after spending $2,000, I asked the dude, so what are my advantages here? Like, what can I do now? How am I free, basically?
Right.
And the dude couldn't even answer me. He said, I mean, what can I do now that I'm out of the system? Which you're really not out of the system. You're still in it, but they want to
Mhm.
tell you that you're out. I'm like, yeah, what can I do now? He was like, I don't know.
Right.
I'm about what you mean you don't know. You took my money, told me if I went through these steps in this process that
Mhm.
I would, sending registered. I went into the post office, got registered mail. Like I did it all. And I said,
Mhm.
what am I getting at it? The brother couldn't even answer me. And I said, man, I just got scammed, you know, but and people say it works. That they follow it like it's some type of religion.
Right. Mhm.
Yeah, and I'm just like, well, I'm always like, well, show me how it works. Oh, we can't show you because it's some big secret. And I'm like,
Oh
so
wow.
I'm like, you taking people's money and then you're telling them it's a big secret, but you
Mhm.
can't show me the outcome, the positive outcome I get from going through this process. I said, I'm all, you guys are misleading people, man. So I kind of left that alone.
Right. Mhm.
I kind of left it alone, and then I got into the Wabu and things like that. But now there was a sister I was talking to recently, and she had hooked up with another sister that was going to get her like Moroccan
Okay.
citizenship or something like that. And,
Mhm.
and this other girl who's claimed to be an expert, she went through the process like 3 different times with this woman from the UK, and she's like, "Oh no, that's not right." But I'm like, if you're first of all, why are you going to 3 different people if you're the expert? You should have the paperwork. Just like if I go to Morocco and I say I want to be a citizen,
Mhm.
I need to go through the immigration process. I got to pay my fee. I got to be able to speak the language. I got to be able to read some of the signs.
Mhm.
You can't just sign paperwork and get in citizenship into a country. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I think they prey on those who are desperate. I want to get out of
Mhm.
the system. And then what is freedom? What really is freedom? Is it not paying taxes, not doing nothing? This I'm gonna take all the benefits and give nothing? Is that really the right thing to do?
Yeah.
Look, it takes a village to raise a child. So everybody's putting in the work uh, to keep everybody else safe, make sure everybody prospers. You get your money, you work, you start a business, whatever.
Mhm.
Who really is living a great life, not doing nothing, not doing nothing at all?
I know.
But they like, oh, you gotta pay taxes. Look, everything got to keep flowing. You gotta pay your taxes, man. You have that's the social contract. You know what I'm saying? If you want to start your own nation where nobody pays taxes, you're free to do that. But even that costs money. That costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So somebody's always paying for something. Learn. I tell brothers and sisters, learn to invest. Learn to invest your money. So one day you don't have to work, and you get money every month coming in from stocks, real estate, your companies that you run. But
Mhm.
still, you got to put in the work. So
That's true.
yeah, 'cause I see Taj Tariq Bey doing a lot of that. I see him doing a lot of that. He made a lot of money off that stuff, man. I,
Hmm.
I'll give him credit, man. He talks a good one, but if you listen to what he says, it really don't make no sense.
Who is that?
Taj Tariq Bey.
Oh yes, yes. I used to. Uh-huh.
Yeah, he'd be like, "Oh, they can't do that. They can't arrest you because the Treaty of Verona, the deal
Mhm.
with Queen Elizabeth, and and then the United States is in on it because I seen George Washington sign the same paper, and since we're Moors and we cool with George Washington, we can't get arrested. We could just sit in your house and just take it.
Mm-hmm.
He
Mm-hmm.
connecting a whole bunch of stuff that just don't make sense.
Right, gotcha.
Right. So I'm just like, people are desperate enough to believe it. So,
Yeah.
they want to believe it. So that's for them. I just,
Mm-hmm.
I don't really don't hate on the dudes. I just leave it alone.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just, yeah, I just leave it alone. So,
Mhm.
any other questions? I do want to move on
Mm,
to,
so that's it. Thank you.
okay, no problem. I do want to move on to the man from Planet Risk and read a couple of questions and answers from here. Okay. I think we got into the part last time where basically the master teacher started getting into. We went over DNA, lawless, weak and strong, or recessive and strong traits. We went over twigging, cloning, and then now we're moving into more of a conspiracy, not a conspiracy theory, but an actual conspiracy, events that really happen, whether you want to trust in them or not, right? So now we're getting into secret societies in Germany specifically. I think we went over how they selected Hitler to be their front man, right? And I think we're going to continue from there. You mentioned the Thule Society was a secret society. Did other secret societies branch off from this society? Answer: they had 24 evil elders and they branched off and became Druids, the Rosicrucians, Astra, the Elks, Knights of Templar, Knights of Columbus, Shriners, Eastern Stars, Freemasons, Ku Klux Klan, Skinheads, and Boosters Club, the Alhambra, the Aryan race groups, the Tall Cedars of Lebanon, the Boy Scouts, fraternities, sororities, and the Theosophical Society. Collectively, which is the eclipse, which is the eclipse of the sun of righteousness. The Illuminati had no concern with race, national creed, or movement. They only worked for themselves. The aim of the Illuminati is to subject all mankind to sovereign tyranny. The world of the Thule Society led to the Third Reich, whose power still rule the world today. All right, here's some of the symbols of those organizations. Right, they took the interlocking. See, these are two. This is a pyramid, an upright pyramid interlocking with an inverse pyramid. But that's not their symbol. They actually stole that from us, of course, or they took it from the Israelites. But we had it before the Israelites, right? They took ancient Sumerian symbols, which is not them. And now this is a triangle. I don't know exactly what this means. I don't know what any of these mean. I'm just looking at the symbols of what I'm familiar with. But this one, I don't know. But we know the triangle represents more than likely a pyramid, right? And these are the crafts built by Nazi Germany. These are not, this is what they seen in the sky. And you'll find out that they were talking to extraterrestrials. That's how they came up with this design. Because there was never a design like this in human history, right? But they got this. And I think the master teacher does go over this. Now, this picture here, the Aldebaran, this is where the Nordic extraterrestrials came from, or Ashtar Command, as a lot of Nawabis like to call it from our master teacher. This is where they come from, right? And scientists have a theory called panspermia, where they say that life did not start on Earth; it actually came to Earth and was seeded, right? And this is the images of these people. You see that they're blonde hair, even though the picture is not that great. They're blonde hair, more than likely blue eyed, And this is why, even though Hitler was not blonde hair, blue eyed, he said the superior race was blonde hair and blue eyed because he knew about these beings from off planet, right? Because why else would he say blonde hair and blue eyed? He ain't blonde hair, blue eyed. And with his ego, you would definitely think, well, I'm the superior one. But he didn't even say he was superior. He said these other Caucasians, this sub race of Caucasians, are superior. You know what I mean? So you got to put one and one together. Like, why would he link these Caucasians with the Ashtar command, which I call them the Caucasian gods or Nordic extraterrestrials? Why would he do that? Right? So it gives a description of these Nordic or Ashtar command people. I'm not gonna go over that. Okay. Communication. Their leader, Ashtar Sharon or Aseur, these blonde-haired, blue-eyed beings came to Earth and are still on the planet Earth. Originally, this Nordic type are also in Pleiades, but have been known to wear insignias from Arcturus and Venus. You may see an insignia and it may confuse you because some of these beings are sharing planets since they were cast out of Ilion, that which encompasses Pleiades. For example, you could be a Nigerian and you may fight a war in or pledge allegiance to another country and wear their symbol. There in Antarctica, Hitler was introduced to a cavern in the earth. It was not Shambhala, it was in a side tunnel where he encountered beings from Aldebaran, humanoids, Pleiades, humanoids, Andromeda, grasshopper-like predator-looking beings, Dracos, reptilians, and other beings from sixth star or sixth sun constellation of Orion, where there were disagreeable beings. So, that's somebody knocked on my truck. So you can see right here from the movies, this is the Predator, who I was scared to death of when I was a kid. I could barely sleep after seeing the first one with Arnold Schwarzenegger in it. So, movie directors also do history. They go to the library and they do history on certain characters, certain time events, and how they want to portray it on film. And so I'm guessing, I forgot who directed the first Predator. I forgot, but I think it was Ridley Scott. Ridley Scott, yeah, Aliens and Predator, matter of fact. But he did his research and he found the images of these predators and he put it into a movie, right? Just like Avatar 2. Those images, they didn't create those, they just put them on screen. So if you're a director of a movie, you have a lot of power of what people see and how they portray themselves versus something in history or something in the future or the present time. That's why Dr. Yerk says you got to own what you put out, right? Music, pictures, movies, so you can depict your people the way you want people to see your people. You know, like the Chinese do. The Chinese ain't gonna put up no degrading movies like black people do. I don't know why black people do that, but when you don't know yourself, you will degrade yourself subconsciously without even knowing. So, so anyway, let's keep going here. They were responsible for the translations of the Bible that added Orion, Pleiades, Octors to it, as found in Job 9:9, Job 38:31, and Amos 5:8. These are the same beings responsible for the mistranslation of the Bible and the whole God and devil concept. This went into the Quran of the Mohammedans and Sufi of the Mutasawwir and the Kabbalah of the Jews. Accordingly, these same caverns that these beings dwelled in were found by Admiral Richard E. Byrd in 1947. Admiral R. E. Byrd and his associates flew 1,700 miles beyond the South Pole base when they saw a valley not covered in ice and snow. The weather is a steady 76 degrees Fahrenheit. Later on, April 5th, 1955, He was authorized by the Navy to launch an exploration trip to the inner Earth. He flew 2,300 miles from the Navy base in Antarctica to find the entrance to the center of the Earth. It wasn't until July 1958 that a report was given by Byrd saying a vast new land has been discovered. The details of it were never released officially. However, pieces of information were later printed in a magazine stating that there were blue-green lakes of warm water with black lines which resembled blast marks. These blast lines would be evidence of aircrafts being launched from this inner Earth base to the surface of the outer Earth. Location of the inner Earth, called the Rainbow City because of the reflecting lights from the inner sun, known as the Southern Lights or the Aurora Australis. Admiral E. Byrd is not the only person who's seen the inner Earth. Lieutenant Commander David Bunger landed his seaplane in the lakes and commented that the water there was warmer than that of the oceans. Okay, so we got two witnesses, two pretty credible witnesses. We have an admiral, a Navy admiral of the United States Navy, and another guy named Lieutenant Commander David Bunger, right? And this could be all searched on the internet now. His son, Admiral Byrd, actually his father told him first, right? Because he didn't want the United States to look at him like, what are you talking about? But the United States government knows about this. That's why they sent him out there, right? So that's all researchable. So let's go to this next question. How did these people come to live inside the earth? Answer. The existence of races of people living inside the earth is nothing new. You find stories in ancient teachings of the Norwegians on one part of the globe, the Hindus in another part, as well as the Greeks, the Egyptians, and the Mayans. For as many types of people or beings on the earth, there are as many below the earth. This is also recorded in the Bible in Revelations 5, 3, and 13. The beings that live in the inner earth range from as small as pygmies, dwarves, and midgets to giants, whose size ranges from 10 to 19 feet tall. You have good or benevolent and bad or malevolent that all dwell within the earth. Richard Shaver, a visitor, called them Teros and Deros, referred to Mission Earth and extraterrestrial involvement, scroll number 82. These inner earthlings have lived there since there was a canopy of water surrounding the planet Gi, Earth, or what you know as the Noah story in Genesis chapter 7 and 8. When the sons of God came to earth and had children, Genesis 6:2. Once the waters were let loose on the Gi, Earth, these children, who were part human and part extraterrestrial, went into the inner caves of the planet until the water from the flood subsided. Some of them resurfaced and some remain in the interior of the earth. Now, let me pause there because they're talking about the Great Flood, right? It's not only the Bible talks about the Great Flood, there's also stories earlier than the Bible that talked about the Great Flood. So this is one of the Great Floods, right? When the earth was first being assembled a couple billion years ago, right? And so, wow, I was going somewhere with that. And I totally forgot. But yeah, the Earth was formed billions of years ago, and so these people, the atmosphere is very thick, and it was much more oxygen in the atmosphere than it is now. It was much more humid, and when there's more humidity, the thicker it is to breathe, right? It's harder to breathe, and there's more rain coming in because there's more humidity, right? So there are floods everywhere on the surface. That's why the master teacher said they went into the earth, and they had knowledge of where the center of the earth was from the Anunnaki. Sorry. We'll get into more details on that later. Question. Has anyone actually seen the inner sun? Answer. A man named Dr. Nefi Koto, DC, along with a friend, went on a small excavation in a small fishing boat and sailed the ocean into a huge canyon and saw a sun shining from inside the earth. The oceans, as it flowed into the inner cavern, touched onto a small river that flows from one end to the other, or from the North Pole to the South Pole. The poles are not the only openings for this inner world. Many openings are found in caves such as Mammoth Cave, Kentucky, or Kentucky, that might be Kentucky. Okay, the mountains of Tibet, the pyramids of Giza, Egypt, Mato Grosso, Brazil, refer to Leviathan 666 edition 15. Question: where do they get the energy that powers the world and their craft? Answer: they are an advanced society with advanced technology. The proof in this is clearly seen by the use of flying saucers. The knowledge of splitting atoms is a fairly recent discovery on Earth. Earth is primitive compared to the level these beings are on. They use they use power called blast electricity, whose source is from the compression of air and its connection with electricity. This ties in with the shifting of weights, which was the secret to the building of the pyramids. Did y'all hear that, y'all? Did you hear that? It said
Mhm.
these beings, because the Caucasian doesn't know how they built the pyramids. It says they use the power called blast electricity, whose source is from the compression of air and its connection with electricity. This ties in with the shifting of weights because as we move, like in the truck that I'm driving, or an airplane, or a rocket going up into space, the biggest obstacle is weight, the weight that you're pulling. So these extraterrestrial beings from these advanced societies found a way to shift the weight so it's not bogging down on whatever power is pulling it, right? It's almost weightless in a sense, right? And they, because they say when they go to the pyramids of Giza or Sudan or Ethiopia, where they also have a lot of pyramids, they say, well, how did they build it? The rocks are like 10 tons each. And they think that time is linear. So they're thinking that human beings were hunters and gatherers, and everything just keeps going, keeps advancing, but actually it doesn't. Time goes in cycles. It's like a stock market. It's like your life. You have life and then you don't have life. The market's up, down. The sun, the planets circle around the sun. The sun circles around the universe. It doesn't just keep going. Nothing just keeps going. But the Caucasian man thinks it just keeps going. No, life goes in cycles, right? Civilizations rise and they fall. They have their time and then they don't have their time. That's life. Um, but he doesn't like to see it that way because he's very egotistical and he goes against nature, right? But there were beings, our ancestors, right, who came from the Anunnaki, had this type of technology where they can come and go as they please, right? Because they had this weight shifting blast electricity technology to get them off the planet, bring them to the planet, haul very big blocks of mass to build those pyramids. That's why the pyramids is still standing today. And those pyramids, some of those pyramids of like 8,000 years old, they're still there today. They're not in pristine condition, but they still there today. That's what our ancestors did. That's how wonderful we were as a people, right? And that's where they get damn near all of their civilization from, right? So, um, let's read on. He says, I know this may sound crazy, but the facts must be put forth. As you read further, you will see how all these pieces fit together, so that you may see what really happened. Now, all the scientists, namely Nikola Tesla, Dr. Eric John von Neumann, and Albert Einstein, Dr. Emil Kortnauer, Thomas Townsend Brown, and others were being brought into America. They started bringing all of these scientists to Los Alamos, New Mexico. Wright Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio, and Dreamland in Nevada. They also set up the Institute of Advanced Research at Princeton University in Princeton, New Jersey. Between 1910 and 1930 were their big years, which is when all of this started taking place. They chose Philadelphia as the site to test the project of invisibility because it was a Navy base. The Institute in New Jersey was strictly used as a place to meet. Although they had many great minds, they still needed more mathematicians and intellectual people to accomplish what they set out to do. One of the most outstanding scientists in the project was Nikola Tesla. So here's a picture of Tesla, and here's a picture of Eric John von Neumann. He was born at midnight on July 10th, 1856, in a remote section of an Austro-Hungarian province now called Yugoslavia. He is of Serbian origin. His father was an Orthodox priest, Reverend Milutin Tesla. His mother was an unschooled but highly intelligent woman by the name of Dajuka, referred to Nikola Tesla, the Venetian scroll. I've never seen this scroll. I've never seen it. Tesla attended the Technical University at Graz, Austria, and the University of Prague. At Graz, he first saw the Grame dynamo, which operated as a generator and, when reversed, became an electric motor, and he conceived a way to use alternating current to advance. Later at Budapest, he visualized the principle of the rotation of magnetic fields and developed plans for an induction motor. In 1882 AD, Tesla went to work in Paris for Continental Edison Company, and while on assignment to Strasbourg in 1883, he constructed his first induction motor. Tesla sailed for America in 1884. In May 1885, George Westinghouse, excuse me, the head of the Westinghouse Electric Company in Pittsburgh, bought the patent rights of Tesla's polyphone system of alternating current dynamos, transformers, and motors. This caused a war between Thomas Edison's system of direct current and Tesla Westinghouse system of alternating current approach, which eventually won out. Tesla soon established his own laboratory. He experimented with shadow graphs similar to those that later were being used by Wilhelm Röntgen when he discovered X-rays in 1895. Tesla's experiments included work on a carbon button lamp, on the power of electrical resonance, and on various types of lighting. Tesla gave exhibition in his laboratory in which he lighted lamps without wires by allowing electricity to flow through his body to relieve people's fear of alternating currents. He was often invited to lecture at home and abroad. We use a combination of direct current and alternate currents now, right? You get direct current coming from the city and the power hubs, but once it hits your house, it goes through a transformer, which makes it alternating current, which you plug in your appliances to the wall, you're getting alternating current, right? All right, let's continue. The Tesla coil, which he invented in 1891, is widely used today in radio and television sets and other electronic equipment. The year 1891 also marked the date of Tesla's United States citizenship. Westinghouse used Tesla's system to light the World Columbian exhibition at Chicago in 1893. His success was a factor in winning him the contract to install the first power machinery at Niagara Falls, which bore Tesla's name and patent numbers. The project carried power to Buffalo by 1896. Tesla believed thought and motion could be captured on screen. Tesla conceived the idea of thought photography many years ago. Tesla was reported as saying, "I've become convinced that a definite image formed in thought must, by reflex action, produce a corresponding image in the retina, the inner membrane at the back of the eyeball that is sensitive to light and receives optical images of one's eye, and possibly be read by a suitable apparatus." This is what he experienced as a child while in school. He was able to figure out mathematical equations by visualizing the equations or polygons to the extreme where it became difficult to tell if what was before his eyes Was it reality or in his mind? This shows the power of the mind. Photography, according to Tesla, was the basis for his system of television first revealed in 1893. Tesla planned to fabricate an artificial retina as a means of impressing thought signals on screen. He hoped to complete the broadcast by means of stimulated optic nerve, the nerve of sight, which goes from the brain to the eyeball and terminates in the retina, and another retina at the point of reproduction, as Tesla conceived it. The two retinas would be multifaceted with checkerboard-like patterns. The so-called optic nerve, he added, was merely a part of Earth. Here's a long report here. According to a report, Tesla had previously invented an instrument capable of simultaneously and without interference transmitting hundreds of thousands of individual pulses to the ground without the use of wires. He referred to a scanning device or a Catholic ray, and reasoned that a thought or mental drama reflected on the retina could be captured through photography and projected on the screen. So basically, the master teacher is talking about Tesla. He invented the first television, and he's telling you how he conceived of this technology, right? Basically, if you can take images from your pupil to your optic nerve back to your brain actually flips the image in your mind. That's why you see things upright instead of inverse, right? So the brain is doing all that work, and it's doing it so fast, faster than the fastest AI computer that man can conceive, right? So you're doing all this very fast, right? You're doing it very fast to where it's normal to you, right? But if you become blind, you will remember that you had that ability, right? So he's talking about if images can come into the mind through the eyes, then it can also be reversed. So that means the brain can also output images through the eyes back out, right? And this is what Tesla was conceiving, right? So he's saying that I can create a device called a cathode ray tube, which is CRT. CRT TVs is cathode ray tubes, right? This is what they're talking about. Remember how we used to have the big box TVs with the big backs and all that? Those were CRT TVs. So Tesla invented all that stuff that we use, right? So the reason he came up with it, because he said the mind can work in reverse. That not only can you take input, it can also give output, right? He said, I think he said he experimented with something and couldn't tell if what he was seeing was real or was it something in his mind that he's projecting out, right? Like a projector, he probably came up with the projector too, right? So a lot of fascinating stuff here, but let's keep going. Thus, the objects imagined or visualized by a person would be clearly reflected on the viewer as form. Tesla believed that all of the thoughts in the mind of the test subject could be portrayed upon an optical surface. Scientists today believe that a crystal could be the clue. Crystals, they say, are subject to mind, brain energy patterns, and if drawn to a specific geometric shapes, the prism could likely be turned into a mental frequency range of certain individuals. According to one spokesman, scientists now foresee sensitive instruments containing numerous bands responsive to a multitude of thought patterns passing through crystals. Well, the crystal that's ancient technology, right? The crystals, because crystals can refract light. That's how you get your telescopes and your certain surfaces that bounce light. So you can zoom in and really see every pixel, or you can zoom in like 50 to 100 times, right? And some of this comes from certain high priests. You've had Greek oracles or sages. You've had some Hebrews really using the crystals for energy reproduction and to sometimes to see the future. It might all sound like stories, right? But the stories actually come from truth, if not the whole truth, then parts of the truth, where people would use these crystals. There's actually a cartoon, the same dude who made the Muppet Babies. What's his name? Jim Henson. Henson. I think it's Jim Henson.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's a little Muppet show, but it's more adult, and I forgot what it's called. It's on Netflix. Like, but it's called like Dark Crystal, and it's a very fascinating show. I would invite anybody to watch it because it kind of pertains to like what we're reading right here. Did you have
Because
questions?
we have crystals inside of us, right? We're walking crystals.
Okay. Maybe that's how the mind works.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that'll be worth looking into. I didn't know.
Yeah, that we have crystals inside of us. I could have sworn, and I could be wrong. I could have sworn I heard that from one of Dr. York's lectures. I believe that's where I heard it from, or somewhere else. But we have crystals inside of us.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure what lecture that was. I haven't.
Yeah, it couldn't have been
Yeah.
him. Somewhere.
Hmm.
Yeah. Because I know some people like, well, why do you wear crystals or whatever? And I'm like, but that's from the earth. It's
Yeah,
from
it's
the
from the
earth.
earth.
It's
That's right.
energy. And they're like, well, you got crystals inside of you. You have it inside of you. Okay, well, then if you can wear it on the outside, then I feel like it'll activate whatever crystals inside of you more. You know?
Yeah. There is that link, you know. But it definitely
Mhm.
activates something inside you, right? It definitely activates
Yeah.
because you could feel it. I got crystals, stones, and crystals at my house, and
Hmm.
the magnetism comes from stones, right?
Yeah.
Certain stones have magnets. So there's a lot of energy in the earth. I mean, that's the most powerful resource, and
Yeah.
that's why it's worth so much on, gold and silver and platinum, palladium, crystals. Uh, those all have worth, not only monetarily, but even in the spiritual realm of existence. These
Hmm.
things have wealth. Like touching upon what you just said, there's a supplement vitamins like silver, right? Some of our body is made of silver, the same elements of. Well, actually, we're made of everything the universe is made of. First of all,
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
right? So the master teacher says we're made of the same stuff as the stars.
Oh, are you referring to the colloidal silver?
Yes, yeah, there it is. There it is. The colloidal silver, which is very good. Chromium. Chromium is actually good. I got chromium supplements here in my truck, which is very good for you, right?
Yeah, yeah, especially for maintaining healthy glucose.
Okay.
Yes, that is good for that too. If people have like the glucose problem, the chromium is good for that.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah. I didn't know what chromium is. I just know that I feel more complete when I take it.
Yeah, it's a mineral. It's a mineral.
Right. It's a mineral from the earth. That's right. I didn't know all of its benefits, but definitely everything
Uh-huh.
our body needs is from the earth. You could grow it, you could mine
So do.
it. Yeah. So
And I
land.
want to look more into. They have the I know they mentioned about like copper foods or copper. I think copper supplement is good for us. The copper.
Oh, okay. Okay. I didn't know about the
And
copper.
then I seen a supplement. It's one black owned. The gold. It's like a gold supplement. It's like real gold that you take, and that's supposed to really like open up your third eye. Help you to
Hmm.
meditate and transcend. Raise your vibration. Mm,
Oh, okay. Okay.
yeah.
Gold
So
too. Yeah.
so it's supposed to be real 14 karat gold. Mm.
That's got to be expensive then. Yeah.
No, it's affordable for us because they know that we need it.
Right.
Look, between that and the copper and chlorophyll, that they say chlorophyll is really excellent for us.
Oh, okay. What about the
Yeah.
seaweed, the sea moss?
Yes, that too. Yes.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, everybody should be taking supplements
You,
because
you got that right.
yeah, because if you're not farming your own plants and stuff and juicing and
Mm,
everybody's in these big cities where it's hectic. You don't get a lot of time to even take care of yourself.
yeah.
That's one of the issues, and everybody should either be getting supplements or farming and eating more natural, more fresh food
Mm-hmm.
with all of these additives that they put into it.
Yeah.
Because they're killing you slowly, getting you ready for that hospital,
Yeah.
and then they're gonna take more money from you when you're in there. So
Of course.
yeah, this is a crazy system, but
It
yeah,
is.
yeah, gold, huh? Gold. Yeah, I heard about
Mm-hmm.
the colloidal, but I'm gonna have to look into this gold and
The
crystals
gold, the gold, and the copper.
and the
So the
copper.
copper's good for us, and the chlorophyll.
Oh, okay.
The
Well,
chlorophyll.
good. Gold is a good conductor of electricity, and so is copper.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
and when we are electricity, I mean, this our
Yeah,
spirit
we
is
are.
basically. hmm So the spirit is basically kind of like electricity. You
Mm-hmm.
know? So the more natural you get, the better you get.
Exactly.
That's pretty much what it is. So we got to put down them ham hocks and all that pork.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree. I agree. Good gracious.
yeah. I know we fall victim to it, but we got to keep each other motivated, right? So,
Yes, we do.
mhm. How long? Master teacher went in on this. Okay, I'll read to the end, and then I'll pretty much, if there's no questions, I'll go ahead and end the class. Returning from New York in 1900, Tesla began construction on Long Island of a wireless world broadcasting center with $150,000 capital from U.S. financier Pierpont Morgan, J.P. Morgan. Tesla claimed he secured the loan by assigning 51% of his patent rights to telephony and telegraphy to Morgan. He expected to provide worldwide communication to furnish facilities for sending pictures, messages, weather warning, and stock reports. Now imagine that back in 1900, he was going to start sending text messages and sending pictures. So,
Mm.
the project was abandoned because of financial panic, labor troubles, and Morgan's withdrawal of support. It was Tesla's greatest defeat. Because of a lack of funds, Tesla work shifted to other projects, and most of his ideas remain in his notebooks, which are still examined by engineers for clues. In 1917, he was severely disappointed when a report that he and Thomas Edison were to share the Nobel Prize. Tesla received the Edison Medal in 1917, the highest honor that the American Institute of Engineers could give. Tesla demanded much of his employees but inspired their loyalty. Though he admired intellectual and beautiful women, he had no time to become involved. He had very few friends, and the ones he had consisted of writers Robert Underwood Johnson, Mark Twain, and Frances Marion Crawford. Tesla has been called to Washington to do work for the government. He had several projects. One of his main projects was the Philadelphia experiment. He also had many other projects and inventions that he had did in Europe before he came to America. Tesla was also known for a project he invented and worked on called the Death Ray. The Death Ray is capable of destroying 10,000 airplanes 250 miles distance. The U.S. Army was involved in the making of this machine in 1938 to 1939 and was tested in New Mexico. It was reported that the death ray did work. However, it was so dangerous for anyone to control, so they destroyed the machine, records, and plans. Tesla also made a radio controlled automobile that extracted its power from the air around it, referred to Mission Earth and Extraterrestrial Involvement Scroll number 82. Another scientist on the project was called Emir Kurtin uh, Auer, however you pronounce that, an Austrian physicist on staff of the University of Chicago. They decided to do a study or speculation of invisibility research that happened in 1930 to 1932. So it began as a civilian project. In 1933, the project was moved up to the East Coast at the Institute of Advanced Study in Princeton, New Jersey. In 1934, the project transferred to one of the first people on staff, a Dr. John Eric von Neumann from Hungary, Budapest. He received a degree in 1925 in chemistry and another degree in physics in 1926, and a PhD in math. He taught at Newark for 4 years and then transferred to the United States. He taught at the graduate school at Princeton for 3 years, and they invited him to join the Institute. Others like Albert Einstein were there since 1933 when he left Germany. Albert Einstein had nothing to do directly with the invisibility project that he called the Rainbow Project. He went to the California Institute of Technology and taught there for 3 years, then went to the Institute upon invitation and was accepted there. The project expanded. I'm giving you all the information that you must have to read, to have, wait a minute. I'm giving you all the information that you have just read to prepare you for what you're about to read through, which is an experiment called the Philadelphia experiment that took place in 1943. You may ask, why should you be concerned with an incident that took place 51 years ago? Well, now that's, I think, 87 years ago. The answer is simple, because whether you know it or not, you are being affected by what happened in that Philadelphia harbor on August 12, 1943 AD that changed history forever. And we'll leave it there for next week. So that, the master teacher is setting it up, giving you some basic information into what you're about to go through right now. And it's going to involve time travel. Not the Disney time travel stuff, but real scientific time travel and what took place in Philadelphia with this experiment that the U.S. government was heavily involved in, right? So thinking about this time in the early 1900s, World War One, and then we had World War Two, right? There was an arms race. There's really a scientific race to see who can produce the most advanced technology at the time, right? Which all came from Germany, because they were speaking with the Ashtar Command or the Nordic peoples, because that's who brought the design for the flying saucer, right? So and then you had the V2 rocket, which NASA uses that to go to space. That all came from Germany. I know in the book right now it's going to veer off from Germany and talk about the Philadelphia experiment. I actually have a book by a PhD that gives more detail on the secret society that's called the Thule Society, with Madame Blavatsky, Hitler, and some other rich Germans who were part of this secret society who were talking with extraterrestrial beings. I know it sounds a little fantastic, but it's true, because this PhD actually talked about it. And if I can get my hand, I got the book at my house, but I ain't gonna be there anytime soon for a month. So, but when I get it, I'll let you guys know.
Okay.
Yep, but yeah, I'm glad I got my favorite student here. So, but I'm gonna, if you don't have any questions, Sister Shannon, I'm gonna go ahead and
that's it.
Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed the class and you learned something. That's my goal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so let me get in the hang of this.
Did you send me the link to my messenger, the website?
Let me do that right now.
Okay, and then that'll be it.
Yeah, because I will forget. Okay, I got you right here. Okay, I just sent it to you.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Let's see. Okay, so let me switch the screen. Go through the procedure. All right. All right. Za'u Eyofeb Semeke Sam Nahumutefeb Menu Za'u Wazeti Ashadafe Nabububu Tewamoribu Humuba Harbaha Kayakobulifu Imipefebitu Dakedoa Utamu Utamu I'm sorry Ututamfuha Menu Dehe Kalofun Shasuma Tefibu Yaum Edo Wakam Wak Wakema Wakema Edebia Item Fumuka Wa Umotibu Tewamoribu Other Tama and Watu Sede Wumud Dela Mukia Watu Sede Wumutifu Kaja Kaja Tu Lich Kaja Ka Kaja Tu Lejebi Watu Sede Wumud Dela Mukia Faralafa Asubur with him. I shudder him, Haokne Yofim, Watu Lawobusefim, Atem Faralafa, Watu Sede Wumudefim, Leka Bumefim, Leka Bumefim, Febawa Kaya Kobulitum, Kid Nabobu, Eartha Tawamoria, An, Anba Itum, Tia Hatubu. Semeke, Sebun Nalefet, Unufa, Atamabu, Hebim, Tiaitim, Zaush Semofim, Yaok Leotim, Yaok Delotim, Other Yawoy Hedofim, Unufa, Kebo, Meda Jahim, Ahmedet, Other Kalamed Menu, Zagubun Nefim, Bu Waomot, Wamoto, Per Imukbefim, Farlafa, Ya Tebuya, Aze Farlafafe, Menu Tabuya, Tabua, Zaustenofe, O Hatumo, Per Shasumatif, Eartha Kumuba, Tiasehem, Willa Boy Winner, Senma Tias Lekefetim. We leave as beings who only want the pure facts. In this tabernacle, our hearts heard the Messiah who came giving knowledge made right for us toward the pure path and rightness. No fiction stories, no moral fiction stories, no poem fictions. First, they have no answers. There are no misloyal fictions of our tabernacle, presented as truth and pure facts for our soul's sake. As apprentices with the master teacher, we know he heard us, he feels us, and he will gather with the 23 elders. The path is not for the weak of heart, but for those who are strong. Yes, we wait in peace to knowledge and bliss, greater air our entrance. All right, I hope to see you guys back here next week. Wadu.
Why do?
Okay, Wadu, Sister Chan.